Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Ringru, low, low, low.
And folks, we're back on Slutsk, but we're taking a different perspective today, right? Who's joining us for that new perspective?
On left hand side in the blue, we have an ATKPWRGAMING playing 5th SS Viking with a V for victory income. Right hand side in red, we have an EasternDream playing 3rd Armoured with a Maverick income.
You know, you said the V for victory income, and my first thought was, wait a second, did I read that right? And I went back, yes, this is V for victory. We've actually seen Attack Power, I think, bring V for victory more than once, and kind of a very, very strange income consistently.
Yeah, it's always like the counterbalance to Maverick can really make or break how you play it, depending on how you survive that B phase. So it'd be curious to see how he does. But looking at the initial opening, we're seeing pretty heavy play just south of the Northern River here. Greyhound going in hot, Attack Power, unloading his troops. EasternDream actually has a whole heap of infantry just booking up north as well.
Yeah, but the thing here too is, congratulations, if you take that, we saw this on Tuesday's match, you can take that northern side, north of the river, but is that really the most important usage of your time and space and resources?
Yeah, because he's going to set a good defensive position here, but then looking at the rest of the map, yeah, down south is pretty vulnerable, and I think Attack Power can smell that vulnerability, moving up the Panzer Grenadiers to try to get hold of that southern town.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about the smell of vulnerability. It kind of smells like feet, but more like defeat for the other guy. And really, if you're looking at the south, the underbelly, the bottom of the feet, so to speak, well, I'm not really sure how to wrap this up, but suffice to say, there's a grill that's putting fire on this half track, and I expect we're going to see a rather explosive, finish to this all.
Yeah, and Attack Power just in the central position is putting in quite a decent amount of pressure with his Panzer Grenadiers, where he should probably move, run up to deal with the M3 half track. But no, I guess if we got T-34, that works as well. So, yeah, he's honestly doing pretty decent here. EasternDream, he really needs to, and okay, he is making that northern push happen. If he has all the troops up here, you might as well just try to shut off that hill as soon as possible.
And he'll do it. It won't be too hard, though. Not bizarrely enough, if the Germans pull back on the downslope of that, shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be. We'll see.
That's why the Germans have the 2-2-2.
That's true, because they want to remain rather even in how they played things.
Yes.
Oh
wow, T-34 got blapped in the center. Armored rifles getting in that bazooka shot. A very nice kill. I mean, he's still going to lose that position, but at least knock out that rather nasty tank will buy him a bit of time.
Yes, it will. I actually completely missed that. I was watching, trying to figure out where this M4 105 is going to be starting to fire. I cannot figure out. Okay, there we go. He's looking back towards the town. Probably going to kill that Panzer Shrek. Stug 4 in the meantime, he might have eyes on. Either that or then for a 176.
Yeah, he'd be in a good position to provide some long-range fire support here, because he's really going to need to put down a lot of fire if you want to hold on to that hill, which I don't think is going to happen. There's still a whole lot of angry Americans up here, and Americans do love bringing their machine guns. My God, there's a lot of machine guns.
That's true, but man, that's why we have the Second Amendment. So I mean, that's actually how the GIs got around bringing all the personal stuff to Europe. I don't know if that's the case. Please don't at me. Now we briefly saw a smoking FW-190 up in the sky, and we shouldn't be expecting to see too much airplay today. Maybe some late HE-111 runs, maybe the occasional rocket run over here in Phase B. I don't suspect that either player is really going to put too much of an emphasis in the skies.
Yeah, it'd most likely be Panther and Jumbo duels as the game starts to drag out a bit. Slug 4 does get blagged. It's going to be replaced from a Yanked Panzer 4 here. Really at 76mm Sherman's in a lovely position to provide some long-range fire support. But EasternDream, he's close, fully capturing the hill. He has the flag, which is the important part, and managed to stop out rather nasty bleed here. But he also needs to think about maybe securing the south. As you saw in our last cast, Khan, if you lose that south, we're going to get really buggered.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And no one really wants to be buggered, that's for sure. The other thing I think we kind of noticed over here thus far, and this was also aped over here in the Tuesday match, where's the Artie? Like, I feel like people got the Slutsk and then said to themselves, I have an allergy to actually caring about my troops, and no one brings artillery to the field. I'm very, very curious as to why that might be.
Yeah, especially up north, both sides have mortar half-tracks, and the northern side is really quite ideal for a mortar half-track play. But yeah, the LMG rifles with all the half-tracks will be enough to destroy the rest of the German infantry left on that hill.
True, but they might lose the occasional light vehicle, which, for Third Armored is a very, very big piece of that play, is how long can you keep your half-tracks in play?
Because they provide pretty damn good fire support, as you don't have a whole lot of infantry Third Armored. That's just one of its major weaknesses here. So you can need to use the half-tracks as pseudo infantry to just buy you time.
Yes, you should. M4A1 at any time does engage the Jagdpanzer, but Jagdpanzer backs away. And in the center, there is one half-track keeping things kind of copacetic. I think just a consequence, really more the fact that the Pigrants don't want to run afoul of that Madus.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's true, but down south, my friends, that's what's very interesting, because now the entire southern town is gone. There's an armored rifle being rushed over here to start taking this back, but I feel like this is a moment, attack power is going to shift that T-30-45 to put eyes on that road, and that's going to be really, really hard to get by as well. So well positioned there.
I think attack power did hear us, because he is buying himself a mortar half-track. Actually going to be bringing it, like northern central position here, probably try to provide some fire support onto the town.
Yeah.
Because he has lost that hill completely. Really, his best bet is probably just set up decent defense into what he has left in northern town. And then as you can see, if I got vision, just yeet all the way down south, just recreate what we saw on Tuesday.
Yes, indeed. Question is... Does the T-34 see the armored rifle before or after he unloads? My guess is after he unloads, because he's not going to get acquisition soon enough, I don't think.
Yeah. And this is just going to buy EasternDream some rather critical moments in reinforcing the southern side. He still needs some proper anti-tank if he wants to, successfully hold it. But at least just getting some infantry into the town and forest positions will just give him some presence in that area.
It certainly will. It certainly will. M8 Scots and an M5A1 being brought on in the recon, trying to push that northern town. I don't think this is going to be quite the experience he was hoping for. Suffice to say, the M8 Scot will be nice against the infantry, at least in a kind of close support position.
Then going back to the artillery point earlier, this would be a perfect location for EasternDream to get to some sort of oh, no, he's got it, never mind. Complaints, they've been reversed. He's got the 81mm mortar half-tracks, 2 of them. And this is just going to be, shooting fish in a barrel here, just how clumped up all the SS infantry is.
That is certainly true. Door around the hill is going to start to say hello to the Scot, and the Scot goes down. So not really the greatest of Scots that we're concerning ourselves with. M5A1 near at hand, seeing what's happened to his compadre. He goes back. He dies in 2 rounds. And with the 81mm stovepipes, where they're going, they're looking for the 50mm. Good call there.
Yeah, knockout anti-tank. Because they're going to definitely need a little bit more infantry and light armored vehicles to try to retake that southern or northern town. Yeah, bringing a lot of 105s. Probably just need a little bit more infantry more than anything. He's just focusing more on fire support because, of course, the Third Armored, you don't have a whole lot of infantry to work with to begin with, especially CQC specialist.
Kind of the sad thing over here is that Attack Power Gaming had a lot of different opportunities to kind of think to push certain territories, and I think he got kind of caught up in that thing that so much of us get caught up in. His opponent shouted at him, and he said, "I got to shout back right here." And he kind of blinkered himself to what could have been some really, really interesting plays in the southern part of the field, the central part of the field. And you can see right now what it previously would have had a lot more blues showing. Well, it's a little more 50-50.
Yeah, no, it's always just like the game sense, which, you kind of just have to feel, so to speak. That's just an opportunity or attack power did miss here. It's a bit of a shame. This is, just noticing how much units are on each flank and quick mental math. Because, yeah, it's going to be pretty... I think it's going to be tougher for him now, M10 tank destroyer being brought in. Because, yeah, it's just a decentest defense here from Dream.
It certainly is. It certainly is. So again, like we said, block off, contain the northern side. It's gone. Don't worry about it. Just set up a couple anti-tank positions. If you want to have a moving idea with that Panther back and forth. But what you can't do is you can't go and just kind of say, you know what, I'm not going to push anywhere else. Now, to me, now is the time where I put some tanks behind that Flammenwerfer, that Peagran, that Pioneer, all to the west of that half-track, and I drive down the hill screaming at the top of my lungs with maybe a rough Zieg something in the air. That, to me, is an area that's ripe for conquest. That's an area you can't defend. The roads go in every single direction but where they need to be in defensive spots.
Exactly. You just put a good tank up the or two, some anti-tank guns, and you can very easily zone it out and just make it a fortified hedgehog here. But he's bringing in more of the tanks, the Jagdpanther and Panther D up north, again, just trying to buy time in the far north. And yeah, I think he's definitely over-investing a little bit. I understand why, but he needs... Well, I'd say he needs to get pushed, but in B phase, that's probably not going to happen with the income disparity. Probably have to wait till C phase to make any other major offensives.
That is very, very likely. Now, we are seeing the M576 mill be engaged, actually one of the two, being engaged by the Jagdpanzer and the Grill. Not dying, but still causing a lot of hassles. Down south, in the meantime, we are seeing an M10 and a T-3045 go at it, and yeah, that's about right. The T-34 backs away for fear of being engaged by that Hellcat wannabe.
Yeah. We've got another Panther Grenadier being brought in, and there's still an opportunity here for attack power if he just goes right down the road into the Triangle Forest location, as it isn't any anti-tank coverage yet at all from EasternDream. He still has that corridor which he could exploit, but he's got a Panther being brought in, a Grill. Okay, I see why he's getting the Panther. Probably just try to just out any of his tank battles. But he needs troops to push up and take some territory.
And he needs troops that are a little bit more scary than, yes, I can engage your infantry at 700 meters. Which right now, that's probably the best thing that his Peagrans can do, is just actually put down some withering light machine gun fire. Northern side, no one really kind of cares up here. This is the World War II equivalent of trench warfare right now.
Yeah, attack power, at least revealed from investment, has a pretty good anti-tank defense line here between the Jagdpanzer and the Panther, and the mortars as well. So you can probably at least defend that last flag on his side of the town, but that's all he could probably do.
That said, we have to remind ourselves here, folks, that it's not Phase B that attack power is playing for, it's Phase C, where he gets to have double the amount of income. So, I know right now we're coming probably is very, very condemnatory, maybe that's the right word here, of the play, and I think it's just more of there are still options. I think that's the part that's a little trying for us to be experiencing right now.
Yeah, it's going to really come down to how EasternDream can make something happen, especially up north here, because he also has a decent amount of troops as well. He's trying to plug in the south side as well. He's got the M10, so the Panther coming in will prove to be a bit of a havoc. Just looking now at the force disposition, especially on one side has been built up. I mean, power is in a pretty good spot to, derail coming to C phase.
There's something that's the potential to listen to. It's the idea of kind of saying, okay, it's good enough, it's close enough. It's one of those ideas I just don't know if it is going to be long enough before the income comes through.
I'm actually surprised I haven't seen any jumbos yet.
Yeah, you would think with the Americans they would supersize something there, but apparently not going to be the case here.
Yeah, I mean, a jumbo up north would be a scary customer to deal with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Though we did see the M5 on the hill, just to the east of the M10 tank destroyer, picked up a Panther as well as a Tiger. Excuse me, not Tiger, as a Jagdpanzer. So we are seeing some very, very effective work.
Damn. bloody good fire support, yeah. Definitely going to keep attack power very much holding into what little he still holds up north.
That does seem to be the case. Down south as well, we actually are going to see M10s trying to engage the infantry. We did see the guerrilla go down as the M10s put fire into that poor little, moving target practice. And the T-30-45 would start to engage the Stuart. So, looks like there's certainly a bit of clubbing of SEALs on both sides.
Yeah, it's a pretty good little death ball here of armored vehicles from EasternDream, but it's just very much clumped in. T-34 is providing some damn good fire support. You also having the high ground is also beneficial. So, once again, attack power is just slowing down his push, which is the main thing he needs to do.
Yes, he is. And one by one, the M10s go down. Which means one by one, the major players in that area are also going to go down. Which means one by one, the secondary players, those rinky-dink little armored rifles of the BAR, are good, but they're not going to be enough.
No. Especially if the armored fire support not being... Oh, the M10 and T4 just have a nice sort of trade.
Yeah, the old mutual kill there, right? Essentially, it's a rather plucky Panzertrek team thinking that he's going to be able to engage that half-track, and the half-track says, yes, but I can go backwards faster than you can go forwards. Yeah.
And this is a pretty nice sort of kill here from EasternDream, finally attacking that northern side. Not a whole lot of defense is left in, especially dealing with all the tanks. He should pretty easily... Yeah, he's got both of these flags under control. Not a +2 advantage yet, which is what he desperately needs. But at least, usually if you can capture the northern side completely, not as easy to defend down south, but it's a pretty good geographical position to just hold on to. Unless he just goes even deeper. And he's just going to go deeper.
He's going to try to anyway. The M3, though, is... excuse me. Not really as effective as you might want it to be. Also, in the meantime, we are going to see a good chunk of the U.S. Air Force going down. But down south, there's actually a supply vehicle that will be able to go, first of all, keep that M5 in good supply and reloading a lot of the infantry material that we've seen previously.
I think, EasternDream is just going to slowly start trading back here. The income disparities and to really be felt here for attack power, as he can't really afford to get many more heavy tanks to replenish all of his, heavy and medium-heavy tanks getting blapped, because there's really not a whole lot left on the field here from attack power's side.
That's true. That is very, very true. Now, I'm trying to think. The armored rifles, there's plenty of anti-tank that's going to come into C phase. The jumbos are not going to be into C phase, so if we're going to see them at all, I think we're going to see them here. Here's one of them down south. Apparently they paid to biggie size it, and another P-51 making a run at that central position of infantry and doing a fairly good job at it.
Yeah, EasternDream's just getting a rather effective trade. He just needs, probably just retaking a little bit in, I was going to say center. Yeah, probably just trying to push a little bit here to the pretty exposed line in attack power's area. He should be able to maybe get that +2 once again. Because he's going to need that +2, especially coming into C phase with the double income disparity of attack power.
That's true, but he's only got 60 seconds. He's got 60 seconds, and then the floodgates of fascism begin to open up, and that's when the Vikings start marching towards Valhalla, screaming their blood chant.
It's like a metal band.
It certainly is. It certainly is, except all of them keep singing Diggy Diggy Hole consistently in an endless round.
I can just... Unrelated,
yes.
I could just imagine, Road War 1, sappers, digging tunnels, just singing that song for some reason. How they call the tunnel warfare in Road War 1?
My conscript and digging a hole. Yeah, it works. It works perfectly. Yeah.
As they chuck in the mustard gas grenades.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, except everyone sounds like the pyro as they're singing it. You're right. Now, unfortunately, despite the fact that we're 5 seconds away of, milk and honey and everything like that over here for Attack Power Gaming, Question is now, has the die been too far cast? Because I truly don't know if you can pull this back. There's such a concentration of forces against all of these major intersections.
Yeah, and like we saw with Tuesday, like this Slutsk, especially both these divisions, definitely comes a little bit more down to the armored engagements, and just in a period of 4 minutes or so, attack power lasts most of his, main armored units, and it's really starting to snowball out of control here. EasternDream, especially up north, has just done a good job trading.
I was even thinking down south, there's that Stug 4 that's going to go down here. He's used the overwhelming bulk of his machine gun ammo. He's got maybe a third of that left. He's running low on HE shells. That 76 is going to kill him, without a doubt.
Yeah, he's trying his darndest to hold, and holy sow, death till he parted. And we're seeing the armored rifle push now to attack to regain farms, and just a lack of anti-tank. There's barely any long-range anti-tank left on the field, and that's really going to screw over attack power.
Which is why we see a Panther being brought to the pitch, but I don't think that Panther at this point is going to be enough either.
Yeah, it's going to be a target-rich environment for him, which would be nice, but probably a little bit too target-rich, especially if you had an 18-6. Good God.
Also not sure why the 190 flew onto the field and flew off the field yet again. So, curious decision there. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to that pilot after the match and the post-match commentary. Of course, as always, this match brought to you by Fanta. Otherwise...
No.
Which is a...
Wow, that's a new sponsorship too. I thought we were sponsored by Bofors.
Actually, the Tripolston. So it was the Tripolston, but they pulled it after our withering commentary about the Swedes during World War II. Yag depends in the meantime in the middle, trying desperately to push back. I get the feeling we almost might be able to take this to a times two. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I do agree, because this is just going to collapse here.
So how about 22-25?
Yeah.
And times two. There we go, folks. So as we kind of continue to march and march and march further and further forwards, we are going to note that one-on-one, pound for pound, I think outside of the jumbos, I don't know that the Vikings really have too much that can be thrown their direction unless they misplay. Like we're seeing the Jagdpanzers just wiping out unit after unit to the northern side. We're seeing FW-190s coming to barrage things to pieces. But if you look at the map, it looks like there's more red on this map than a kid with chickenpox.
Yeah, and that's always the of playing FIFA Victory try not as popular as an income, because against a Maverick player, like as you saw, it just tides can turn extremely quickly, and B phase is the most pivotal, one of the most pivotal phases. I guess you could argue A phase as well in Steel Division 2. And if you lose that momentum advantage in B phase, you can just get screwed over, as you can see. I mean, EasternDream has thoroughly collapsed. Attack power is slowly, getting lost its defense, holding the line, but his line is not that liney anymore.
That's true, but he's also throwing in guys to kill. Jumbo goes down. It's 19-5, so I mean, it's not to say that this is 100% over. I mean, that probably about 90% accurate. Because I don't think he's going to be able to turn around that bleed quickly enough, but it is 17-7, so now it's a stay of execution down over here to 4.5 minutes as opposed to 2.5 minutes. Question is, where does he take all the necessary flags back? And the things I truly don't know if he's got the time for it.
No, and it's also just all the armored rifles you have to go through and half tracks, which do take time. Like, they're not as scary, the Panthers can kill them, but this is always a problem with heavy tanks, is they can't kill all the targets on the field, only a few.
It certainly seems to be the case. I wonder why there's one Panther Strike squad that can totally pick up his M8 Scott, but doesn't look like he's willing to do so. Jagdpanzer does go down at long last as the avenging M4A1s come marching on forwards. And it's 20-4, 19-5, get under the last minute of play. As P-Shrek, he's going to get a vengeance kill. Yes, he does. I'm not going to say there's going to be a wide spread of score pointage here in terms of KD, but I don't think that this map has really. I don't know that the post-game numbers, let's say, are going to go and show the dominance that the Third Armored had here. I'm truly surprised, because the Third Armored is not the group that we consistently see have happen with this.
No, they did pretty good, it seems.
Okay. Looking at this really overall, 1,200 points, pretty solid. Looking at the kills, Randolph, well done, sir. And Hale, decent. Heck, even Rivero, well done, sir.
Wow. He did really bloody good for himself. And losses, T-30-45, I believe that was Southern Run. Did good. Like, when Attack Power's tanks were alive, they were holding the line really well.
Hip and Steel.
When they
please
die, it's not that great.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but it turns out that most defensive units tend to not do as well after they get killed.
Yeah, great how it works.
Very. Hip and Steel did decently for himself as well, killing a Jumbo and Weingarten. I mean, we're grasping at straws here, folks. And that's kind of what happened here today, is that Viking was able to get some very, very interesting kind of high-profile kills, but at the end of the day, Third Armored had already gotten a bunch of kills in the first place. So you're trying to play catch-up, and I don't know about you, but catch-up really only belongs to French fries. It doesn't belong in the battlefield.
Yes. It's always the risk of V for victories. If you get screwed over in that B phase, you just lose. As you're sure here, you lose hard if you cannot keep up that B phase against Maverick.
Well, you said about being the anti-Maverick. I feel like it's almost more like the anti-Vanguard, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, like, anti as in, like, weak against it.
Oh, okay.
The English words are bad at its time of night.
That's fair. So, folks, in an effort to save ourselves from a little bit more oops moments, I think that's going to do it for us today. Until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rue. Take it easy.